All right, well, welcome to our very first Lunch and Learn AI Bytes. I see a couple of you brought your lunch, which is great. In the future, we're hoping to have these. It might be over lunch, if that works. Fast-fail fact, we learned today it's a faculty grading day. So there's many faculty that are not on campus. They're the option of grading remotely, so that's all right. We're just glad we have some of you here today to kind of try this pilot series with us. So my name is Britta McKenna. I'm the Director of Special Initiatives, and I work part-time, and I've been brought back to IMSA to set the foundation to create an AI center at IMSA, whatever that means. We're going to figure that out together. I'm no AI expert. Nobody really is. We're all learning together. And so because of that, I love to learn with students. So I have 2 student interns working this year, and I would like them to introduce themselves.
I'm Eve. I'm a junior here at IMSA, and my hometown is Barrington.
My name is Rachel. I'm also a junior, and my hometown is in Chicago.
Okay, so we're all going to be co-presenting today. All right, so you guys can go over, and let's have the next slide. So today is going to be a kind of a basics and a historical slide. I thought this was just a good snapshot. Some people think like AI just arrived, because maybe generative AI has had an impact if you're a teacher, if you're a student, right? The fast pace that has evolved is in our face. It's more ubiquitous, and I think you look back, it's really been since 1950. I'm not going to go through this, but Alan Turing, he proposed that there would be a test for machine intelligence, and so it goes back to thinking, can it act and think like a human? And that was a hypothesis that this could happen. Well, that was 1950. You look and you see through 1966, not a whole lot happened. Then the AI winter happened. Kind of not much going on, at least where we could see it. Now because I'm pretty old, where I remember, and maybe some people here, is 1997. I remember IBM's Deep Blue. I remember reading in the news that Deep Blue actually defeats the world chess champion Garry Kasparov in a chess match. So an AI. So all of a sudden, we started taking notice of what is this AI, right? But then the next time I had things are progressing was 2002 when Roomba, right? Because it became more mass distributed. That, you know what a Roomba is? It's a little vacuum that my dad was an early adapter of technology, and he had a Roomba real early on. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So now it's becoming more mainstream. When it really, for me, became mainstream was 2011. We all know Siri. Well, yeah, you all probably don't remember 2011, but I remember when I got my first Apple Watch, my first iPhone, and I tried to figure out how to use Siri. Very clunky. Even today, Siri gets things wrong because my accent, I'm speaking too fast, doesn't understand me. You got Watson, came after that, which is IBM's computer, as well as Eugene, and Eugene was more of a chatbot. Alexa is the other side, right? Alexa was developed. And then we have some more, Tay and AlphaGo. I'm not as familiar with those. Then you see that's where this particular graphic stops, but the generative AI has really taken off, especially within the last year to 2 years. And we're going to focus first on that. We may go back in future sessions depending on what you're interested in, right? So next slide. So I would like a show of hands, just because I'm trying to get to know the audience. I know there's not many here to do a hand poll, but how many of you are currently using ChatGPT? Raise your hand if you're currently using it. Currently, raise it high because our students were actually counting this to try to get an idea of the percentage of the room that are currently using this. What about Bing Chat? Raise your hand. Just put your hand up. You got to count high if you want to count, okay? Bard. Got it? Okay. What about Claude? Others. Just call out if you're using another. Okay? All right, that's our poll. We want to try to get some baseline. What are people using? What are your knowledge? So that was helpful for us to get that. Next slide. Okay, so Neve's gonna take the next slide. You're gonna talk really loud.
So throughout like the history slide, we basically made this distinction between what is AI and what is generative AI. AI, which has been around since, of course, the 1950s, and then we said that after that 2017, we noticed the emergence of generative AI, most notably OpenAI, which we've seen gain a lot of popularity in recent years. So AI really is a software technology designed to perform human-like tasks, which is really why the Turing test comes in, where we know that a machine can be considered intelligent if it is indistinguishable from human. So AI is a broad term that encompasses various technologies that include things that I'm sure we're all familiar with, like Google Home or Cortana or Siri. While generative AI has been something that's, it's a very recent technology, most notably, of course, OpenAI. And OpenAI has been adopted by a bunch of other platforms like Bing or Bard. But regardless, generative AI is a subsection of that AI category that is designed for creating original content based off of existing data. So we're going to try our own little Turing test, I guess. So these are two passages. One was written by a human and one was written by AI. They're both pretty technical, so it's not meant for you to analyze the information that the AI is outputting, but what about the writing style? So do any of y'all know which response is written by AI and which one is written by a human?
Give them a minute to read. Give them some context. Where did this come from?
So one of these is from my SIR paper, and one of these is from ChatGPT.
So what you're saying, response 2 is AI? Is that what we're hearing? Yeah. We got people still trying to read it. All right, so how many of you feel that, we'll start with response. Response 2 is written by AI. Okay, how many feel response 1? Okay, what's the answer?
So the answer is that response 2 is actually written by AI. And there was a pretty large majority that agreed that response 2 is written by AI. So do any of you have some input to share on why you could tell? What indicators were there?
As your cholesterol 7 alpha hydrolase, you spell it out in response 1. In response 2, it gives you the initials first. It doesn't describe it at the beginning, where it describes it down below.
So like, why did that make you think that it was written by AI?
What? I guess because in language we're always taught to spell it out first and then give the abbreviation, where AI may not know that and just gives you the abbreviation first without defining that abbreviation.
That's a really good distinction, like word choice. Yeah.
AI starts by immediately addressing CYP enzymes, which is like, what is actually to answer a question, but yours looks like it would fit more into keyword.
Like AI, it attacks the question sort of linearly. The question asks CYP enzymes, cholesterol catabolism, biosynthesis, and that's exactly what it does. It's CYP enzymes, yada yada, cholesterol catabolism for biosynthesis. Whereas you start, you like make it more, your response,
Fluffier.
There's like more variation in the punctuation of the paragraph. Like they're using parentheses and they're using dashes. Like I feel like if you like as like when we're in school, like the use like variations. So it would like seem more like it feels more human, like more creative compared to the AI rendering one, which is just like sentence, which feels like robotic and like not like robotic.
Okay, so these are all really good observations. So let's go to the next slide. So now we'll talk about why some of these, I think you mentioned that it's not as fluffy. And I think this is how some of these can be a disadvantage for AI, especially when it comes to doing school assignments. So we asked AI to basically summarize The Great Gatsby in the first prompt, and then in the second prompt, impersonate or embody Jay Gatsby, The Great Gatsby. So both of these prompts, Dr. Hancock rated it as a D because neither of them actually answered the prompt. Because, so originally the summary is less of an overview of the plot and more of an overview of thematic elements and the meaning behind the story, which of course is what the AI is trained to answer because most of its source data is things like, Spark Notes or other online or open source documents or not even documents, platforms by which AI is able to talk about, ultimately hollow lives of its characters and critiques of excesses and moral decay, which isn't something you really expect to see in a summary because you'd be looking for more plot. However, there's very little plot in the first one. The second one has slightly more plot, but it's still not enough to be considered a true summary. And AI's impersonation is incredibly bland. The only real substitution that AI makes is to replace all of the he or they with I. So just using personal pronouns, there's very little embodiment through word choice or sentence structure or any other of those like creative writing tools that you're taught to use. So yeah, does anybody have any observations they'd like to make about this? If not, that's completely okay. Go on to the next slide.
So how does generative AI apply to the IMSA community? Well, we wanted to know how much of the student body actually uses generative AI, and we surveyed a small sample of students here. So according to 42 IMSA students, 52.4% of students surveyed said that they use generative AI in their schoolwork, and not necessarily in an unethical way, but they still have generative AI system there. And one anonymous student said that they use it. I use it kind of as Google to research and use resources that list in its answer. So because so many students in the IMSA community use generative AI, faculty obviously wants to make sure that their students are submitting like their own writing. Their work isn't being done by generative AI, and so they typically use AI content detectors. But we wanted to find out was how effective these AI content detectors were. So we gave ChatGPT a simple prompt, which is, what is the impact of climate change on Earth? And we basically just copy and pasted what ChatGPT gave us onto our AI content detector, and it said that it had a likelihood of it being 52% AI generated. And so we decided, what about we have ChatGPT write it argumentatively? We took that response, and the AI content detector said it was 51% AI generated. So now we're going to get into more informally, like if we ask ChatGPT to answer these questions informally, how much they thought that this was AI generated. So if we took the argumentative statement that ChatGPT gave us and then told ChatGPT to rewrite it at the 10th grader, they said that was 20% likely that was AI generated. And if we told ChatGPT to just rewrite it informally, it was 24% AI, was likely to be AI generated. And then finally, our last command was for ChatGPT to write a response that would be detected by the AI content detector, and they said they were not right. So our conclusion from here is that if we have ChatGPT write formally, that it's likely that that's probably AI generated, like they can tell that it's AI generated. But if we ask for ChatGPT to write it informally, AI content detectors can less likely detect that it's AI generated.
So we've got a TED Talk. This is Khan Academy founder, and the topic is how AI could save, not destroy education. Because what we want to do is to kind of provoke ideas here and to get you thinking, but also not think that AI is the end of the world or it's the FC either, right? It is kind of this thing that is right in our face, and we're all learning together in this community. So let's go ahead and play.
So, anyone who's been paying attention for the last few months has been seeing headlines like this, especially in education. The thesis has been students are going to be using ChatGPT and other forms of AI to cheat, do their assignments, they're not going to learn, and it's going to completely undermine education as we know. Now, what I'm going to argue today is not only are there ways to mitigate all of that, we put the right guardrails, we do the right things, we can mitigate it. But I think we're at the cusp of using AI for probably the biggest positive transformation that education has ever seen. And the way we're going to do that is by giving every student on the planet an artificially intelligent but amazing personal tutor. And we're going to give every teacher on the planet an amazing artificially intelligent teaching assistant. And just to appreciate how big of a deal it would be to give everyone a personal tutor, I show you this clip from Benjamin Bloom's 1984 Two Sigma study, where he called it the Two Sigma problem. The Two Sigma comes from two standard deviations, sigma is the symbol for standard deviation. And he had good data that showed that, look, the normal distribution, that's the one that you see in the middle, the traditional bell curve right in the middle, that's how the world kind of sorts itself out. That if you were to give personal one-to-one tutoring for students, then you can actually get a distribution that looks like that right. It says tutorial one-to-one with the asterisk, like that right distribution. Two standard deviation improvement. Just to put that in plain language, that can take your average student and turn them into an exceptional student. It can take your below average student and turn them into an above average student. Now the reason why he framed it as a problem was he said, well, this is all good, but how do you actually scale group instruction this way? How do you actually give it to everyone in an economic way? What I'm about to show you is, I think, the first moves towards doing that. Obviously, we've been trying to approximate it in some way at Khan Academy for over a decade now, but I think we're at the cusp of accelerating it dramatically.
All right, so we're not gonna, that's just your teaser. So what we want to know is what's on your mind like right now. What are you thinking about? Anybody want to share? Yes.
So they said that the one-on-one teaching is more useful, so I was thinking like maybe the ChatGPT, but the teachers are coming up to the ChatGPT and actually like understand the teacher. I know that like when I'm a freshman, sometimes I ask ChatGPT to explain it to me, and then I didn't understand it better. So maybe like something like that.
Right. So ChatGPT as a tutor to be able to answer questions that if you're 30 students, you've got one teacher, right? So ChatGPT can be that, could be that tutor used in the right context. Yes. Anybody else have any other thoughts? How many of you are thinking that AI is going to go in the good direction? Raise your hand. If you feel that there's a positiveness, all right? How many of you are feeling very fearful it could go in the negative direction? You can raise your hand more than once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many of you just don't know? I'm in that camp. Right? Because this is evolving real time. We are all learners real time here. The students happen to be a little bit ahead of us because they're not afraid. Our students always go first, from what I see. That's why I have 2 students on my team. They're part of my team to learn, to teach me, to learn with. And that's why we're trying to start these as a learning community. Anybody else want to add to this? What's on your mind? Okay, next one. This was going to be a wall poll. I was going to put these on the wall, but we can't write on the new walls for 10 days. So this is a hand poll again. What do you want to learn about AI? This is the first in a series that is actually guided by what you want to learn. Or maybe you don't know what you want to learn. But if you have an idea, raise your hand and let us know. This is an yes.
Like, wait, can you
Come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
I want to learn how I can use AI to be more informed in my classroom and teaching my students for the CNA program. So what benefits can it be to me to take work off my load to help teach the students?
Great. Yes.
like, can you learn more about how it's like AI and facial recognition technologies and how that like drives bias and criminal cases? Like, if the AI like accidentally like see one person or another person because of bias.
Right. Okay, so AI recognition, technology, and bias.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of like to go farther into like the base of AI. Like this AI as of right now, it doesn't like suit everybody's needs like perfectly. But like if you could like tell how the AI functions like at the very straightforward, you could like alternate.
How does it work?
Yeah, like how does it work? Like the code itself. So we could like alternate it to like suit our needs.
Okay, so how AI works, just at the very core, the code, right? Generative AI is working off of a large language model. So it's kind of like when the internet, how many of you were around when the internet came? How many of you know what a card catalog is? Right, card catalog. Used to go to the library. I used to pull out a drawer, buy subject, and get a thing, and have to go find a book. Oh, our library doesn't have it. I gotta actually get it through another place or a periodical. Learning was not fluid. It was just it was very hard. Internet came on, it was the Wild West. Right? And then we learned how to use it, how to ask good questions on there, how to get good information and qualify our sources. Right? The sourcing was really a problem early on. Where is this coming from? AI is also similar to generative AI, pulling from everything that's on the internet and everything else, right? It's trying to learn, but there's a lot of garbage out there that it's also pulling from. So AI is not right a lot of the time, but that will improve over time too, just like Siri. Siri, like I got food in my mouth, and Siri I ask for a radio station and I get a country western when I ask for WGN News. I'm like, what happened? Right? It's going to improve. All right, anything else on what you want to learn? Think about it, you can come back to it. When do you want to learn? And how do you want to learn? So is this a good format? Bring your lunch. We could do it every 2 weeks. You drop in when you can. Do you want to do it at 4 o'clock? Do you want to do it on Saturday morning at 7 a.m.? The students go, no. When is a good time for the community to learn? This is being recorded. One idea we have is we will send out in Titan Tuesday next week, hopefully, a link. Did you miss the first one? Here's the link. So it's learning wherever and whenever you want. That can happen simultaneously. What we want to know is how you want to learn and when you want to learn. Do you have ideas? Is this boring? Do you want to, what kind of format? We are very open. This is the first one. We can blow it up. But we want to do it the way you want to learn. Students may not want to receive it the same way that faculty and staff do. That's okay. We just need to figure it out together. Who's brave enough? Yes?
Okay. I like the idea that you mentioned that type of accessible learning where you can learn or learn about this specific thing in a different place, like not necessarily a sit here at this time to learn, whenever you have time, you can have to make time to learn about these subjects. I thought that's very helpful.
Okay. So we can have dual or triple tracks too. Doesn't have to be one way or the other. Our thought coming out of this is to pilot this as a session like this with real people, record it, and then follow it with a sandbox session where you actually can try it. So if there are people that have never been on AI or generative AI or whatever, we have stations and we're gonna have a little activity so you can try it. Now, the students are going, oh God, I do that, you don't have to stay, right? But I do want your input. So the idea is learn a little bit as a community, ask some questions, apply. Do you like that model? And if you don't want to stay or you can't stay, or you decide, I don't want the topic, but I want to apply it, you can come at the last half. Thoughts? Yes.
I like that model, and I like this time.
Okay,
I like what you're thinking.
All right, we got one vote for this is working.
Yeah, I like during lunch personally because it's the best time for me and it's kind of learn stuff. For students, I don't know if like an intersection or something would be possibly something that we can actually sit down and talk through like all day and really work on stuff.
I am offering 2 intercessions. They're each week long. That's a little ad for the intercession that I'm going to be running. Thank you. Unprompted. Pat, what do you think? Time is fine for faculty? All right. And staff, there aren't many staff here. 1 staff. 2 staff, sorry. Well, I kind of, yeah, I kind of put you in the boat. Students, thumbs up. 4:30. Too busy with clubs?
Yeah.
Yep, I kind of get your rhythm. Any other times other than this? Is this the better time? Okay, and you're gonna be able to play on your own. Like if a link gets sent out, and then you want to forward through something, whatever you got. Okay, great. Thank you for that input. Next. All right, so because we didn't know what you wanted 2 weeks ago before break, the interns, we have suggested this is our next topic. We can pivot after that to the topics that you want. Absolutely. Does this interest you? AI tools to enrich the education experience. We took a good guess that this might be interesting. Raise your hand if you're interested. Be truthful. Okay, some? All right. This is going to be 2 weeks from today. So we're going to do these every other week. It gives us a chance to develop it, research it. We are 1.5 steps ahead of you, and many of you not, right? That's what we're trying to stay enough ahead that we can teach you some what we learned and bring you along with us. That's how we plan to do this. Yes?
Are we going to learn how to make an AI or create one?
Create an AI. Well, there is a student AI group, student.ai, IMSA.ai, yes. And they're going to get into actually some AI projects. And so that group, I know that you can talk with Steve about that here at Into. There's also a faculty staff AI group, a team that is working and will be meeting next Wednesday at noon. And they're part of a Vision 2033 initiative. So we have different things going on, but what that came out of that faculty staff group was we need to have some community learning opportunities. So we just are spinning it up and seeing how you like it, and we're going to change and respond and react and fail fast, because I'm a fail fast person. Put it out there, see what you do right, do wrong, and keep pivoting. All right? So this is next week. And now we're going to move on to Sandbox. All right, we're going to be playing with ChatGPT. I understand if you know ChatGPT, you have 2 choices. This is going to bore you. You can either leave, which is fine, or you can help tutor others. Those are choices. Right? We are having 3 stations, 1, 2, 3. So if you did not bring a laptop, you can go to one of the stations. If you don't have an account, you can actually download one. We're going to show you that. Or if you have one, you can pull it up. Get your computers on and pull up your account. So, Eve, are you going to take this?
So, if you want to set up your account, if you don't have one, then you kind of set it up on your own. If you're taking one of the station, do you want to log in?
Yes, I'm already logged in.
Okay.